Hey there, today I've got something just a little bit different for you. It is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from JOYTOY, and I'm super excited about these because as far as I know, Ninja Turtles have never ever been released in 1/18 scale, and I have wanted for so long to have some Ninja Turtles in about a 4-inch scale to go with my small figures, and that's never happened until now, so I am really truly super excited. So here we have Michelangelo, there's Raphael, Leonardo, and Donatello. And just real quick, here on the side, they've got some really cool images, and if you're an inbox collector, then you might like, or even if you're out of box, you can hang on to the boxes and display them. It's a really cool look, I think, for all 4 of these. So let's not take a look anymore about this packaging. Let's get these figures out of their boxes. Here we have the boys in green out of their boxes, and I've got to say, there are a lot of accessories. It's very difficult to see here. It's a pile of stuff here, and I've got it all over the place. So I'm going to show you some of their shared accessories first. In that, we've got this figure stand. So let's check out this figure stand right here. This is one of 4, and they're all the same. This is Leonardo's. This was, or is, Raphael's. I guess they're kind of a little bit different in maybe their paint, the way they were brushed or something. This is Donatello's, but they're all pretty easy. They just hook together like this, and they're, like I said, they're pretty much all identical, so it doesn't really matter whose is whose. So I'm just going to combine them all. And what's neat is they make a really awesome well, it's actually kind of cool. Look at that. It's like in the shape of a throwing star almost. And you got a sewer manhole cover right there in the middle, and you got the pegs around each corner. So you could have a really awesome little display with them each standing here on a corner. You could have it maybe like this, just slightly off, and they stand and face you. So this is a pretty cool little figure stand diorama, but this is not the only figure stand they come with. They also come with this classic inspired Turtles figure stand. It's got the shell, it's got the word Turtles, and a figure peg right in the middle. I kind of actually wish it would have been printed this way, because when I put the figure on here, if I do this way, well, one of the feet sticks off of that figure stand, and I probably am going to display him this way. And as you can see, then you've got the Turtles kind of sideways. So, but that's just me. I mean, maybe a lot of people would do it that way. I don't know, but that's pretty cool. So they also come with a ton of hands. It's going to be blurry for just a moment. As far as I can tell, there are no differences in these hands. They are the same hands, depending on... Well, yeah, they're actually just the same hands. They do have ball joints. You can see there's a hole right there. So you get this kind of a hand that's just kind of open a little bit there. There's left and rights. Then you get this hand right here that the fingers are spread just a little bit more, but it's still kind of open. Some of these are like really close looking. And then you get a hand that is open. Open turtle palm hand, like so. And they all come with the same sets of hands, so I'm not going to bore you and show you all of these different types of hands that they all come with. They all also come with a turtle communicator, which I've got right here, so you can see it. And I'm not sure if they're slightly different. Let's grab Michelangelo's and Leonardo's. They look really similar to me. It's funny, they kind of look like a footprint on the backside. But these look very similar to me. Of course, there might be just some slight paint differences there. But yeah, they look exactly the same. Well, yeah, this display looks more blue. This is a little bit darker. But generally speaking, it's the exact same communicator mold. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. They each come with a slice of pizza. So you get a piece for Leonardo. I don't know, it's kind of looking a little green there. I don't know if that's safe to eat. But Leonardo's has some dripping cheese off the end. Raphael's apparently is in mid-chew because he's got some cheese getting pulled away from the main slice. He's got some holes there in it. And Donatello's has like some dripping cheese off the sides there. And Michelangelo, he just flat out got hungry in transit and he took a bite out of his already, which makes a lot of sense for Michelangelo. So then we get some really cool little skateboards, and I like these. I'm just going to be saying a lot of stuff is cool here. I haven't come across anything I don't like yet. But you get these little skateboards, and they're pretty much the exact same skateboard, except the color. So you got a nice coloring down here. It looks very metalish the way they painted that silver. Probably brushed a little bit of wipe over it, maybe. I'm not quite sure exactly, but I really like how the silver really looks metallic. Got some blue wheels. The board is dirty underneath, and it's all black on the top with a single peg for the figure right there. And so that's the blue one for Leonardo. You got the red one for Raphael, the purple one, purple wheels I should say, for Donatello, and the orangish colors for Michelangelo. I like these. The only thing I'm a little bit disappointed in is there's no way to like maybe strap it to the back so they can carry it around, but you know, that's such a minor thing. All right, what else do they come with? They come with something, extra pieces. Let's see. So Donatello has an extra piece here, and that is he comes with a wrench. And that's kind of a cool little extra, just probably because he only has one weapon, and that would be his bow staff. So let's get into looking at the weapons. Donatello comes with a bow staff. It's got the purple there in the middle, the wraps on the brown wood there, and they all come with action weapon poses, and I really like these a lot. I love this translucent blue. This is absolutely cool. This is amazing, and this is Donatello's bow staff being swirled around, and so you can have him hold it, and he's like in an action fighting pose. It's really awesome. It's in person. It's so cool. We get to Michelangelo. Let's see. So he comes with two nunchucks. He's got a closed one, and he's got a more open one. This is not metal chain. This is all plastic. So what you get is like this. You can't really do much of that. It might break if you bend this around too much. So you got kind of an open-handed one, a closed-handed one, and then he's got some action nunchuck poses. And let's see, can I do two of these with one tweezer? Not quite exactly, I don't think. I don't know. There we go. He got two of them right there. That's all right. I'll put this down. So here are his two action with that same translucent blue. Gosh, this is so beautiful. I love the look of this colored translucent plastic. It's so nice. You got the handles sticking out there. So one's being held onto while the other is getting flung around. Raphael has his signature weapons right here. There is the first one. And here is the second side. Right there. It's very cool looking. Nice little pointy daggers. This is actually kind of pointy. Be careful with these corners. They'll bite you a little bit. For his action pose, it's more of like, I would say, a stabbing motion, like whoosh. You got a little bit of this translucent blue out the front and hanging down the side like it's in motion, in a forward motion. The other side is the same way. So cool. I love that translucent blue. Leonardo gets his signature weapons as well, and his are just a little bit more colorful. They are these nice swords, and these weapons really are not terribly... I mean, you can bend them if you want to, but they're not terribly bendable. So let me grab this here. So his swords have a handle in blue, and the top and the bottom are colored in yellow. And again, this silver look is just so nice. It looks like steel to me because katanas are made of steel, right? I honestly don't know a lot about weaponry, and so I'm guessing some of this stuff. So for his action pose, look at that. He is swinging that sword, and he's got that beautiful translucent blue action behind it. Now, one thing I'm just now noticing, let's hold these up, and I find this kind of interesting. The handle of the action pose is much glossier looking and shinier than this, the non-action sword. And yeah, that's about it. It looks like, it also looks really dirty. That looks clean. That looks dirty. So, and he's got two of them. So he comes with two action katana blades. Whoosh, whoosh. So cool. These are so awesome. And now I've got a mess of accessories all over the place, but that's it right there. So let's scoot these all off to the side. Let's get in and take a peek directly at these pretty cool, I would say, looking figures. These heroes in a half shell. Now, originally, when I wanted 4-inch versions of these figures, I was hoping for a more classic look. These are definitely not the classic look. I mean, they have got some accessories on them. Flip these around. We'll take a look at the back side first, because we know some of them hold their weapons on the back. So this, and what's interesting about these is they each have something attached to the back end. Michelangelo has a license plate. Donatello has a place for his bow staff there. Raphael has some sort of like an armor, spiky armor. Leonardo has his sword, a holder for his swords, and you can actually see on Leonardo and Donatello, it looks like these are actually bolted onto the shell as opposed to some sort of a belt or bandolier system to hold these things on. So that's kind of different, because classic stuff, you've got these bandoliers and belts to hold things on. Raphael here in the front has spots for his sai right there on either side of his leather belt buckle. Michelangelo, I don't see any place for him to put nunchucks. The classic figure in the front, same as Raphael, had the little spots. I believe they're right there in the front, but he has pouches there instead. So Michelangelo's going to have to hold his nunchucks the entire time. They all have some... Okay, so they do have bandoliers on them. Leonardo has this, and so maybe that the idea is the belt is supposed to attach that, or visually, I'm not sure. The shell is hard on here. You can't remove it. And we'll get to articulation in just a moment. It looks like Michelangelo has an MP3 player of some sort, maybe like an iPod attached to his bandolier. They just have all sorts of interesting things. Let's see if we can get these a little bit closer here, so you can take a look as I talk about these figures. Make sure the lighting is quite right, as opposed to turned off. But you can see there's an MP3 player here. He's got his M on his belt. There's a little bit closer look at that license plate. He's got these paint cans on his right hip, which would be a great place if those weren't there for the nunchucks to go. What's kind of cool about these armbands is they are loose. So like they are movable, and you probably could heat these things off. You could heat them up and then slide them off if you wanted to. I don't know why you'd want to, but you could probably. And same down here for the knee pads. They are, oh, actually no, they're not movable. I thought they were. Maybe one's loose. I like how... There goes a figure stand. But anyway, I like how you've got these two bands, the lower and the upper. So when you go to bend the knee, oh, it bends so nice. Besides the fact the articulation's amazing feeling for what it is. Yeah, I like this a lot. But this is pretty cool because they've got this around the double pinless joint there, which is really cool. Let's see. So we'll set him back and we'll grab Donatello. And Donatello has a bag of some sort. It looks like it's got a red cross, so like a first aid belt. It doesn't bag. It doesn't seem to open at all, but the straps do hook into the back, which almost looks like the back would open up, but I don't think it does. And if I try to do that, I might be ruining my figure. He's got some pouches here on his left leg, and he's got what looks to be gold bags on either side of his letter initial belt buckle, and a bandolier across the front. And they're very packed. They are very full of stuff, which makes them definitely not classic. And he's got the wrapped arms and the wrapped legs like they all do. So we'll go and put him back, bring Raphael up. Now Raphael has some daggers, some throwing daggers attached to his bandolier, and some daggers on his right leg down here, which this seems to be movable. So we can move that around. So you could probably take that off, maybe, if you're lucky, if you're able to. I like the weathering, not the weathering look, but the wash look on the arm pads and the knee pads. So you've got the little dark streaks through the middle. The figures look really cool. They even have a bit of a wash like here through the muscly areas. And then finally Leonardo pointed out his bandolier. He's got some pouches on his belt on either side of the belt buckle letter, and he's got some armor for his legs on both sides. You can see one right there and one right there. And these are also on straps where they're movable, so if you pop the, whoops, well, there you go. That's what the turtle looks like in a half shell, and but the shell is firmly attached to the upper portion of this body, and you've got a mobile middle section. I was actually mostly seeing if the leg would pop off, but now we know for sure that the midsection is going to pop off. Give me a second. That took just a little bit more work than I was expecting it would, but I did notice I was able to look down in there and the legs are on ball joints. So if you heat this up, you could probably pop the legs off. If you pop the legs off, then you could probably take some of these leg attachments off if you don't like them being on there. So articulation wise, let's take a look. They all have the exact same articulation, and it's smooth. It is nice. So the head is on a ball joint. It can go like up and down, left and right, all over the place. It's so easy. Let's move it back here so we can get a little bit brighter so you can see it better as we go along. The arm rotates all the way around and has a hinge joint that, you know, he can do T-pose about that far. He has a pinless elbow hinge rotation. You have a double ball joint here in the waist and the torso area, so he can go all over the place. If you want to do the splits, well, good luck on that. Most of them aren't going to go much more than this, simply because of how much stuff is on their bodies. If you want them to sit, again, really good luck. You have a swivel at the thigh, a double pinless knee. He can only go back that far because of the knee pad, sorry. And you've got some pretty nice hinging here at the legs. So if you want him to lean back, they can lean back really far. You know, they're ninjas. They can do a lot of really cool, fancy ninja-y stuff. And leaning forward, he goes about that far. As I mentioned earlier, the hands are on ball joints, so there is what the ball joint looks like. We can grab another hand from these piles of hands. I gotta find the correct one over here. Pop this on. And it's a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. It's almost like the hole is a little bit too small, so you're probably gonna have to heat the hand up and then shove it on. There we go, we got it on. But there is him with another hand. And there go. Well, look at that. I just popped it off the opposite way. The ball joint came out of the wrist. So I'll have to heat that up to swap that out. I think it's a little bit tight. So these are really cool. I'm going to gear these guys up real quick and we can see what they look like. And here they are, somewhat geared up. They're at least geared up in their action weapon poses. And these are really cool looking. You're going to have to get them posed just right for these to look good. If you just kind of put them in the hands, then Michelangelo doesn't look too bad. He's munching on his pizza over here. But you have to get these definitely in the right poses for these to look good. Kind of one of the negative things I just noticed was Donatello's bow kind of hides his figure, so it depends on how you have him. You might not be able to see him very well. Anyway, I'm going to flip over and show what they look like on that really cool figure stand diorama. And here they are on the connecting figure stand diorama piece. And if you put them all on this squarish piece, then it's going to be pretty tight. So I put a couple of them kind of standing off, and that looks really cool. Michelangelo's all the way on, Donatello's all the way on, kind of at an angle, but you can do it in such a way that they display pretty well, and they actually look pretty cool, and that way you can actually see them all when they're displayed on your shelf. But these guys are really cool. And just before we're done, I'm going to go ahead and grab some other 4-inch related figures so you can kind of see how tall these figures are next to other random 4-inch figures. These are actually smaller than I expected. We'll begin the height comparison with a couple of JOYTOY action figures. Next, here are a couple of G.I. Joe figures. The one on the right is from Haya, and the left is the modern era of G.I. Joe. Next, we have an Eagle Force figure on the left. I felt that this one was rather appropriate to compare to the Turtle, and a Dime Novel Legends on the right. Next, we have a couple of Spin Master Batman figures, and even their scale is a little wonky, but you get the idea. Next, we have Boss Fight Studios on the left, and Animal Warriors of the Kingdom on the right. And finally, Jazzwares Fortnite on the left, and Jazzwares Halo on the right. I am so jazzed to finally have 4-inch versions of the Ninja Turtles. Now, while these aren't the classic versions like I mentioned earlier that I would like to have, these are still really cool. They're actually pretty thick, pretty wide, pretty bulky figures when you do compare them to, you know, some figures. But you know what? They're 4-inch and they look good. They are detailed, they are articulated, they have really cool accessories, and I just love these figures. These are so cool. I haven't actually really enjoyed an action figure line this much since Fortnite and Eagle Force. And so to have some new figures coming out from at least one of these lines that I really am, jazzed and excited about is really cool. So if you haven't heard, there are more announced, and I believe they're either coming out sometime this month or next month. And that is Bebop, Rocksteady, the Shredder, and a couple different foot soldiers. And who knows if that's all they're going to do, or if this is going to be a line for a while. Come on, JOYTOY, let's go. Let's get all of the Ninja Turtle characters. Splinter, April, let's go. Anyway, thank you for stopping by and watching. I will see you next time.